Always start with I, because that's the only thing you know. And be innocent about it. I don't know how to interpret that. I don't know what this means. We don't talk enough about morale today, but morale is so important. Let's be honest, sometimes everyone knows that you're miserable, right? And it becomes like a little bit of a fun thing in the team.
Hello and welcome to the VFM Podcast. I'm here with Ian, and today we are discussing problem employees. So, Ian, what do problem employees look like? And please don't say they look like you, Adam.
Problem employees come in many different shapes and forms. And we've got to be careful that when we talk about problem employees, we're actually not judging the employee. There's a problem with the employee, I think, is a better way to say it. And those problems can arise from many different ways. For example, I'm not feeling very well. Physically or psychologically, I've got issues. That can impact upon my performance at work and how I'm seen. I'm frustrated. I'm not being used to the best of my ability. And when that happens, a bit like maybe a teenager, you might rebel a bit and your behaviour might be seen as a little bit problem-like because you're kicking back against the fact that you don't feel that you're being, given a fair crack of the whip. There would be other people who have got an attitudinal problem. I would say you need to find out what that is. But as somebody responsible for people, it's up to you to do something about it. And I think that's the first stage, is to be very open to what you're seeing. Remember that you don't know what's causing the problem. All you can do is to describe the behaviour and say, I don't know how to interpret what I'm seeing. Perhaps we should sit down and talk about it. And it all comes down to having really that communication, that conversation. But if you have a feeling that something's not right, then immediately it's up to you to do something about that.
Okay. You say immediately. So when how does that feeling sort of manifest itself? Is it, he looks a bit off today, he's not speaking to people, or she's coming in late continually. Is it just some very subtle things, is it? 9 times out of 10, it's the subtle things, yeah. You walk in the office, you say good morning, and everybody but one person looks up from their laptop or their screen or whatever, and they smile at you, or if they're on the phone, they wave at you. And this one person doesn't. At meetings, they have body language which is very defensive. They don't join in maybe some of the lighter conversation in the office. Those would be the subtle things to look for. When the problem is, though, that can unfortunately infect others, and some organisations then start to see a morale issue. We don't talk enough about morale today, but morale is so important. And I don't really think there's any distinction whether that's public sector, private sector, or whatever. I think morale is key. And morale is that feeling, that wanting to do something. And when you look at symptoms of poor morale, then I think you get to some of the other things you'd spoken about. Absenteeism, for example, lateness, for example. They would be very easy ones to spot. But then even within that, you get things like people talking an awful lot about the competition
and saying, oh, the competition are better at this, or I would get more money if I was doing that. And I think those things, some are subtle and some are quite measurable. But I would say be open to the small signs, first of all, particularly if you're a leader of a small team. It's very often those small things.
If it is a morale issue, you've sort of identified there's something not working in the team, there's some jar, is it best to tackle it head on, or is it best to take a step back, think, okay, see if I can work this out, exactly what's going on here?
Yeah. I think that you've got some options. If your feeling is, and the evidence is, that there's a morale issue, there's nothing wrong with sitting down and just talking through that with the team, what's going on. People just might be tired. They might have had a long, hard slog at something. You don't know. But even within an organisation that has systemic problems, you can see beacons of excellence.
Yes.
Okay. So you can take an organisation. I don't care if it's a factory making cars, a naval ship on the high seas, a university, a hospital, a training company, and although the morale in those organisations might not be first rate, I'll guarantee you that there will be beacons of excellence. Yeah, there will be departments, there will be teams that aren't held back, and you've got to say to yourself, well, how's that?
Yeah.
And when you look into that, what you find is, of course, they're properly led, and people don't need a lot. They really don't need a lot. They do need to know what's expected. They do need to feel valued. So I'd say that the first thing is that everybody understands that what they're doing is important. Okay. Yeah? They feel that their job adds value. So, I might just be, I don't know, maybe I've got a job in a parts department, in a truck dealership, for example. It's not the highest paid job. It's not high in terms of the hierarchy of the business. But a well-run parts department, the people in that know their job is really key. They know that their job is important because it saves people's lives. They're selling the right brake shoes, for example, so that vehicle can stop properly. They know that they're producing a lot of gross margin for the business. They know that they actually, if they do a good job, they create loyal customers. So the first thing is that feeling of I am doing something which is important. The second thing is they don't need to be told. They need to be empowered. Not, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. That's not important. What's important is we need to achieve this. Let's get on and do that. And be there for support and help for sure. But second thing is that people need to be empowered. And the third thing I would say is they need to have that feedback. Yeah, they need to be told that they're doing a good job. They need to be thanked for doing a good job in a genuine way.
Yeah.
And I think that's important that that the leader gives that feedback in a timely way. They reference examples. It's unconditional. There's no, you did a good job, but it's unconditional. And it should be enthusiastic, So to me, you can take an organisation, I don't care what it is, and generally speaking, the morale in that organisation's poor. People are taking time off, they're having duvet days, they're retiring early, they're counting down the days to their pension. But within that organisation, you will see flashes of excellence. And if you go there, it's typically to do with the things we've just discussed. So meaningful work, do I feel I add value? I'm empowered and I'm getting the feedback.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's lots to unpack there because I think morale is such a broad issue. And as you say, one employee can bring down the morale of an entire team.
Yeah.
And maybe it might be that this person is just utterly miserable and needs to be told cheer up or go away, please. But I think it is very important. And you mentioned there also about the importance of having a clear goal. This is what I'm aiming towards. So it doesn't feel I'm just doing the same process and it adds nothing. It actually is something there. Going back to sort of, types of problem employees, obviously so you have the sort of the employee who's just miserable, causing bad morale, or maybe that's a team-wide issue. What other sort of big sort of problems do we see?
I think that they impact at different times of people's careers. That in some people's careers, if they feel that they haven't achieved or not being given the opportunity to achieve what they want, and you see people doing things which are, I would question the efficacy. So very often I'd see somebody who's quite late in their career deciding to go and get an MBA or a master's degree in something like that, as if to give themselves a little medal, a little badge of honor. And I do question why you do that unless you wanted to flag up that you're not recognizing me. So that idea of fulfilling yourself. But you've got to remember that to some people that isn't what they want. Their fulfillment is in other places. So I think we make a mistake when we judge everyone maybe by our standards or our aspirations. Not everybody is ambitious. Not everybody needs the huge salary. To other people, things like family or giving back to society become much more spiritual. Things become much more important. So I think you've also got to be judging these things against that. If you're on a production line in a factory and your job is to literally bolt one piece to another piece, would you really expect that person to be punching the air every time they do it and running around and smiling? It's maybe nice if they do, but I wouldn't expect that. You'll probably find that outside of work they've got something else. They might grow flowers. They might like to go fishing. They might do a lot of golf. They might run an organisation for children. They might be involved in a local church. They might be heavily involved in a local charity or something like that. So don't think that somebody is miserable all the time. We have a saying on some of our courses that motivation is like breath. We've all got it. Unfortunately, some of us have bad breath. So it only becomes an issue when it starts to impact on certainly other people, and whether those other people are colleagues, whether they're in other departments or whether they're customers. Then it becomes an issue, and then you have to do something about it. But it's really that. So that would be I would say one cause, but don't judge. I mean, that's a big area. You can describe, and sometimes people don't realise it. I don't know if you've ever listened to your own answer machine message, but every time I do, I think, "Oh, Ian, you sound so miserable." For crying out loud, smile. It's like, "Oh, I'm losing information." No, come on, put something into it. So sometimes all you need is that. Oh, I didn't realise that mirror moment. That's all you need sometimes. And then let's be honest. Sometimes everyone knows that you're miserable, right? And it becomes like a little bit of a fun thing in the team. Why not? It's Monday morning. I suppose we're going to have to pick you up again. You won't be, And it's accepting that we're all different. Whether some of us. Like a morning people, some of us evening people, accept the differences and make sure that you embrace them. And I think from a leadership point of view, it's okay to have some weaknesses as long as those weaknesses are compensated by strengths, and particularly if they're complemented by other members of the team. It is acceptable sometimes to have someone who is maybe a little bit antisocial, but they keep the team on track and stop it becoming a country club.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's the some of the issues involved there. But don't overlook the obvious stuff like physical problems, family problems. We've all got them. I'm not sleeping right. I've got problems with my children and my parents. Those things are gonna impact on you. And I would say to other people, not looking after themselves. I know it might sound crazy, but are people getting enough exercise? Are they eating right? Are they sleeping well? All of those things are key. And if you're really going through the mill with, a particularly, with a relationship or something like that, it's helping people, not sort of disciplining people.
Yeah. Ian, thank you. Practical first steps. I've got a problem employee. It sounds like you just got to speak to them.
Yeah, and the way to speak to them, and the most difficult thing, Adam, is to open the conversation, and always start with I. And people make that huge mistake. They start with you. No. You don't know you. You only know I. So always start with, I've noticed, Adam, that you don't join in the conversations in the office. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Can you explain? Because the only thing I know is that I've noticed this and I don't understand it.
Yes.
I'm asking you really to and that would be the most practical first step. Always start with I, because that's the only thing you know. And be innocent about it. I don't know how to interpret that. I don't know what this means. I'm struggling to understand what I've just seen, That's where you'd start.
It's very different to, I suppose, the opposite, saying, Adam, you don't join in with the conversations office. Is it because you've got a problem?
Right, exactly.
It's a very different conversation.
And you've gone completely judgmental. You're setting up a conflict instead of actually trying to find out the real cause here. Yeah.
Ian, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure as always, Adam.